Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, one and all. Is there anybody out there? Doreen, nice to see you. You're the first one. I'm not sure. I think you're you're certainly the first one to comment. I'm not sure how many people we have tuned in right now. We don't have a number bubbling up as of yet. But good evening. Nice to see you. It's your old pal Mike here. Barb, nice to see you. Hello, Al Frazier. Nice to see you as well. All right. Well, we'll let a couple more folks sort of jump on. How about that? Yes, Jeffrey Kavanaugh. Is that what that is? Jeffrey Kavanaugh, indeed. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, too. Yes, look at everybody diving in. Hello, Andrea. Or Andrea. I mix those up all the time, and I apologize for that. Elijah, nice to see you. Rick, nice to see you. Romper, Bomper, Stomper, Do. Tell me who. Magic Mirror, tell me today. Yeah, all right. Everything good out there? We loud and clear? Nothing weird going on? I certainly hope not. Anyway, welcome to episode 11 of the Revisited series. The finale. Lonesome Stretch of Highway is the album. Came out in May of last year. Good morning. Good evening, Merrick. Nice to see you, Haas. Allison Green, nice to see you. I thought I was going deaf for a second. What happened? What do you mean you thought you were going deaf for a second? What happened? Was the sound not working? Is that what that means? I don't know. That scares me. When somebody says something like that, Allison, you scare the hell out of me. Okay, Yari says it sounds good. And if it sounds good in a Herket, goddammit, it sounds good everywhere. Anyway, the album was released in May of last year, towards the end of May. I think May 22nd, something like that, of 2020. And it is the last album of the Revisited series. And not since Seinfeld called it a day has there been a more anticipated finale. Maybe Cheers, maybe MASH, maybe Friends. But this is going to be right up there with them. There's going to be 70, 80 million people watching this tonight. So, yeah, this is going to be amazing. But anyway, obviously I kid. So, what was I going to say? I had something I wanted to say about the Lonesome Stretch of Highway. Lonesome Stretch of Highway. I put out the Born by the Radio album in 2018 and had no real idea as to when the next album would arrive, would roll down the pipe. Because I had been on about a 5 years between album run. So in 2004, the Rock and Roll Recordings album came out. Then in 2009, it was 830 Newfoundland was the next album. And then in 2013 was the Red and White Blues. Then 2018 was Born by the Radio. So I really figured, well, hell, I'll put out this record, Born by the Radio, in June 2018. The next record, I'll probably record it sometime in 2022, and then it'll be out in 2020, late 22, early 23, stuff like that. Oh, no. But I'm making a sound now, right, Allison? I certainly hope so. But anyway, so then the opportunity to record an album, I did a little run of shows in October of 2018 where it was called 30 Shows in 30 Days, but it ended up not being that. It ended up being 28 shows in 38 days or something like that, where I went coast to coast. And I played a show in Victoria. And there were two people at that show, and they're both tuned in right now. Allison and Merrick were both at that show. There was probably maybe 25, 30 people at that show. But Merrick and I were hanging out there, and we had a nice visit. And then about 6 months later, Jenny and Ruby and I went out to Victoria again for spring break. And we went out for spring break, and we hung out with Merrick again. And we talked about somewhere down the road how we'd like to do another record. And then, out of the blue, the opportunity to do a new album was proposed by Rob Smith over at Royalty Records. And when that happened, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. The guys and I had just done a reunion show. So there was Ernie, Derek, Dave, and me. We had just played a reunion show. And so in June of 2019, and we'd been talking about maybe somewhere down the road, maybe doing another record. And then it all just kind of unfolded right before us. By the end of July 2019, there was an album on the books, and so we were quite excited about that. And contacted Merrick, contacted the guys. Everything was a go. Got a hold of the current guys, the guys who are currently in the band as well. So Jeff McLeod, Ryan Barwin, Ben Wilson. And we all got together in November here in Edmonton at Riverdale Recorders with Scott Franchuk at the helm and Merrick David producing. And we recorded the album called Lonesome Stretch of Highway. And I know everybody says this when it's their new album, but it might be my favorite. And there's a couple reasons. One is, you would like to think that as the years go by, you get to the point where you can fine tune a song right down to its essence. And so you hope that you can get to that. So I really feel like these songs, and these were songs that I'd been living with in some cases for almost 20 years before we finally got around to recording them. So I had sanded the rough edges right off of these songs. But more importantly, another thing that has happened over the last couple albums, because in the night, up until I don't even know when, but when CDs were all the rage, and I don't think they're all the rage anymore. But when CDs were all the rage, there was almost no limit to the amount of music you could put on an album. Just because you could put 76 minutes of music on a record doesn't mean you should. So albums were very long and sometimes bloated through the 90s and the earlier part of the 2000s, the aughts. So once I decided that the Born by the Radio album was going to be on vinyl, once that decision was made, you got to be much more focused on what songs are going on the record and the length of the songs, because sonically you can maybe at the most put 21, 22 minutes per side. So that's a 44-minute album. Now, if each song is 4 or 5 minutes long, 10 songs, man. That's it, tops. And so the days of 14, 15-song albums like the Fools for the Radio record, stuff like that, doesn't quite work. Even Song and Dance Man is 46, 47 minutes. So that would be pushing the outer edges of a sonically prudent vinyl recording. And the reason is because when you have that much music on one side, the grooves have to be so much closer together that, so therefore you sacrifice some bottom end and some volume and stuff to keep the needle from jumping around. And so Born by the Radio was a 9-song album. I think it was 33 minutes long. And same thing goes for Lonesome Stretch of Highway. It was like, it's I think 10 songs. But I think it's 33, 34 minutes long. So about 17 minutes per side. So therefore you can get more volume. The grooves are further apart, and you can add a little more bottom end to the overall thing. Yeah, so it's a cool thing. So that is another reason why I like this record and the last record so much, because it's just a little more concise, to the point. And not to mention, instead of doing a 12, 13, 14 song album and you're doing a 9 song album, you have 4 or 5 other songs that you're not recording that you can spend another 3 or 4 years massaging and getting them even more fine-tuned and ready for the next record. Anyway, I'm going to get to playing. This is not a very long record, 33, 34 minutes. So shit, we'll be out of here by 9 o'clock if I don't talk anymore. But first song on this record was written in May 2011. And it was the first, it bookends the album. It starts and ends the album. It's called That's What I'm Talking About. Written in May 2011, sitting at home in Nashville. And I was thinking about a couple of places. I was thinking about southeastern New Brunswick, down there, Capellet, Shediac, all those little parts of the world down there with the beach, sandy beach, stuff like that. I was thinking of that. And I was also thinking of Wakefield, which is just... heaven is a local call, as they say. And, wrote it in May 2011, and the first time I ever played it was a couple weeks later in Wakefield. So, anyway, I'll play the first... The album starts with just a little, opening verse of the song, and so I'll play that for you, and I'll play the entire song at the end. Way down yonder is a little piece of land where the water washes up against the sand. And I said, babe, that's what I'm talking about. Way down yonder is a little piece of land. That's that song. Next song on the record is a song called I'm Your Huckleberry. Wrote this. You've heard me tell this story. If you've tuned in for any of my Sunday morning shows, you've heard me tell this story countless times. But I wrote the song with Trevor, Rosen, and Matt Ramsey from the band Old Dominion. And they were up for a Grammy last week. Not to be a name dropper, but I am, so I can't help it. But yeah, so we wrote that with them. We got together to write in October of 2014. And just was messing around, just sort of sitting around, playing guitar, seeing if we could write a song. Those guys were in the early stages of writing hits for other people. The band Old Dominion hadn't had any hits of their own yet, but they were writing hits for other people. Google them. Check out their track record. Pretty impressive. But yeah, we just wrote this song, and it was just... like that, and I just started, and when it came around where I felt like I could start singing, I just sang. So you wanna go dance in the rain? I'll find us a cloud, or maybe somewhere they don't know your name. I'll find us a crowd. And with that, we were off and running. Trevor wrote the next part. Just throw it out there, there's nothing to out there. And then I think I stumbled onto the, you want to get into the show? Well, I know a guy. Maybe we'll go watch the sun sinking low. I know a sky. And then Trevor and Matt came up with the blue is all get out. Maybe we should get out of here. I am waiting. There's no way I would have come up with that, like how one line finishes with this word and the next line just continues, starts with that same word. There's no way my brain would have gone there for that. So that was, that just excited me beyond belief when they came up with that. And then the chorus, I don't think I had anything to do with the chorus either. I was just there hanging on for dear life, and those guys were off and running with it. We'll get high, we'll stay low, we'll make up, but we don't know. Like two stones, we can roll home, we can rock all night. If you need a little breeze to fly your kite, and if your Sunday needs a cherry, I'm your huckleberry. There's no way, not in a million years would my brain have gone and found that lyric. Not a chance. That was all Matt. So, anyway, this is I'm Your Huckleberry. You wanna go dance in the rain? I'll find us a cloud. Or maybe somewhere they don't know your name. I'll find us a crowd. You just throw it out there. There's nothing too out there. If you wanna get into the show, well, I know a guy. Or maybe we go watch the sun sinking low. I know a sky as blue as all get out. Maybe we should get out of here. I am waiting on you to give me the green light. Anything you want, baby, say the word. We'll get high, or we'll lay low, or we'll make up what we don't know, yeah. Like two stones, we could roll home, we could rock all night. And if you need a little breeze to fly your kite, if your Sunday needs a cherry, I'm your huckleberry. If you're needing a spark in the dark, let me be the match. And if you're looking to lock up your heart, let me be the latch. It don't matter where we go, I'm gonna be right. There's a million things that we could do to pass the time. Ooh, yeah. I said anything you want, baby, say the word and we'll get high. Or we'll lay low, or we'll make up what we don't know, yeah. Like two stones, we could roll home, we could rock all night. And if you need a little breeze to fly your kite, if your Sunday needs a cherry, I'm your huckleberry. If your Sunday needs a cherry, I'm your huckleberry. I'm your huckleberry, yeah. Here I am waiting on you to give me the green light. Ooh, yeah. I said anything you want, baby, say the word and we'll get high. Or we'll lay low, or we'll make up what we don't know, yeah. Like two stones, we could roll home, we could rock all night. And if you need a little breeze to fly your kite, if your Sunday needs a cherry, I'm your huckleberry. If your Sunday needs a cherry, I'm your huckleberry. If your Sunday needs a cherry, I'm your huckleberry. I'm your huckleberry, yeah. I'm your huckleberry. I'm your huckleberry, baby. If your Sunday needs a cherry, I'm your huckleberry. Yeah, man. So that's a fun one. And I, again, haven't played it with the guys in the band since the day we recorded it. I played it solo a lot, as I'm sure you're all vividly aware. But I sure do look forward to playing that song with the guys in the band. Cannot wait. I think that's going to be... that song's going to go over like a house on fire live. Yeah. Anyway. Everything still okay out there? We doing all right? Certainly hope so. Okay. Next song I wrote with my lovely Jenny O, and a friend of ours, Kevin Welch, who lives down in Austin, Texas now. But at the time he was living in Nashville. He lived in Nashville for about 1,000 years, and one of the first, I would think, country records that I really, really liked. I mean, I grew up listening to, all the country music that my mom and dad were listening to around the house, whether it was Waylon and Willie and the Boys, stuff like that. But I listened to all that stuff. But one of the first country records that I really liked, the first one would have been probably Guitar Town. Guitar Town, Copperhead Road, and then Kevin Welch's first solo album with True True Love Never Dies, and man, there's some good songs. Praying for Rain is another good song on there. Some Kind of Paradise is another great song on there. So I was a massive Kevin Welch fan. Kevin Welch is the guy who, a couple weeks ago, I was telling the story. He and I and another friend of mine, Kieran Kane, the three of us wrote my song Eggshells, and we were fumbling for what was going to be the last verse for that song, and we were sort of hemming and hawing, going back and forth. We were writing at Kevin's place, and he got up, and listen, Dean, I don't want to know anything about the Oilers game, so just please keep it under your hat. Anyway, now I've lost my train of thought. But Kevin was the guy who said, when we were working on the Eggshell song, and we were kind of stumped as for what to do for a last verse, and he got up and he walked over to his bookshelf and he pulled down this water bottle bong, and he says, I tend to keep the third verse in here. That's Kevin. So anyway, Jenny and I in March or April of 2001, so 20 years ago, we were living in Nashville, a little place on Blair Boulevard, and she had a job doing working for, I don't know, like the Southern Baptist something or other, and it was kind of like the head office for the Southern Baptist League. And one day she had to call like every church throughout the South, seemingly, and she had like a list of questions to ask the preacher. And there was questions about this, questions about that, and one of the questions that she had to ask every preacher, I think it was the last question of the day, or of the questionnaire, was, at what age do you notice a drop or decline or lack of interest in the youth in your congregation? And the preacher just said, when you smell perfume and gasoline, you've lost them. And Jenny came home from work that day and she's like, Mike, have I got a song for you? We have got to write this song. So she told me the story of Perfume and Gasoline. And she was right. And then I think it was like the next day or a couple of days later, we were writing with Kevin, and we went over to Kevin's place again. And he still had that bong up on the bookshelf. And we were talking with him about this and that. And that's kind of how these co-writes happen. You just sort of sit around, drink coffee, talk, and then something happens. And Jenny told him the story of Perfume and Gasoline. And boom, we wrote it. We wrote the first two verses and the chorus in no time flat. And then the bridge also was written at the same time. The whole song was done in probably, 2 or 3 hours. Tops 2 or 3 hours. And what I remember about writing that song, Jenny, you can verify this, when we were writing that song, Kevin's kids, who at that time would have been probably 16 and 18 or 16 and 20 years old, something like that, a boy and a girl. And they would come in. They both came in at various times throughout the day. And they were just such cool kids. And I remember thinking, these are like, there's kids, but they're adults. They're all grown up. I mean, and they came in and said hi to us. And they were so used to hanging around with a bunch of musicians all the time. But they were just sort of hanging around. And they came in, said hi to us. And then as they would leave, they'd give their dad a hug and a kiss on the forehead, and say, "I love you, Dad," and they'd walk out the door. And I remember thinking, man, that's cool. And it couldn't. So watching that unfold, Kevin was the perfect guy to write that song with, for Jenny and I, 100%. And now, here we are 21 years later, and we have a 16-year-old who just got her driver's license last Friday. And it's come full circle. It is the sweet passing of time, without a doubt. And Ruby, like Kevin's kids, are she's really used to hanging around with a bunch of ne'er-do-well musicians, and she's very well adjusted because of that. But here's Perfume and Gasoline. Some say it starts with a telephone. Some say it starts with a crush. Now some say it's when your baby begins to wear lipstick, mascara, and blush. When 9 o'clock turns into 10, and 11 means 11:15. Midnight is magic and soulfully tragic when you mix perfume and gasoline. It starts with a night at the Dairy Queen. Matinee idols on the silver screen. That's when you know it's time to let go. There's only one thing it can mean when you smell perfume and gasoline. Now you mothers and fathers, remember the changes that occur in the heart. Midnight is magic and soulfully tragic, but now you can't keep them apart. It starts with a night at the Dairy Queen. Matinee idols on the silver screen. That's when you know it's time to let go. There's only one thing it can mean when you smell perfume and gasoline. Round and round that old circus ring. It's scary, it's sad, and it's a beautiful thing. So here's to the nights at the Dairy Queen, with matinee idols on the silver screen. That's when you know it's time to let go. There's only one thing it can mean when you smell perfume and gasoline. Nice D7. Jesus Christ, Kurt, you are something else, man. That is so funny. Kurt used to come see me play. Well, Curtis was the first guy that he was one of. Truth be told, Curtis was probably my first musical hero, and so I always looked to him for approval. And and it's a habit you can't break. 35 years later, and I always, when he's in the crowd, I know he's there. It's crazy. It's crazy. My mom was the other one. The last year of my mom's life, she didn't come to see me play, because I would always, I would pay less attention to what I was being paid to do and more attention to whether or not she enjoyed the show or not. But Kurt, he would give me the chord for, like, say, Hey Jude, and he would sort of kind of hit the note a little harder than I needed to sing. He would do that, so I would know where to jump off. And otherwise, I would still be. I wouldn't have a clue what the hell was going on. But let's keep any Oilers Flames chatter. Let's keep that to a dull roar. Thank you very much. So yeah, good ear on the D7 there, pal. Kurt, you're too much, man. Anyway, next song was written with a guy named Tim Hicks, who had a big song called Stronger Beer back in the day. Not even back in the day, like 5-6 years ago. It was his first big hit. He and I also wrote, we wrote Mama's Rolling Stone. Yeah, we wrote that one. And then for this album, we wrote Summers Around Here Don't Last Forever. And we were just kind of talking about how we wanted to write something Mellencampish. And I said, man, you want to write something Mellencampish? Have you come, shy of going to Mellencamp's place, you have come to the right house, because I am a Mellencamp fan to the hilt. And when Jenny and I first met, I found out that she was probably the only person who was even remotely as big a Mellencamp fan as I was. When she was a kid, they all called her Jenny Cougar. Anyway, we wanted to write something, just something like this, as Mellencamp would call it, like something that you just, a song that would play while you're having a barbecue and you're throwing frisbees around and drinking beer and stuff. And so we tried to write something in that Mellencamp Cherry Bomb kind of vein, which reminds me, because today is St. Patrick's Day. On St. Patrick's Day in 1988, Mellencamp was playing at the Edmonton Coliseum here on the Lonesome Jubilee Tour. And I had gotten tickets. The week before, I went to see Kiss and Anthrax. And I bought my tickets for that show the day of the show, the day of the Kiss Anthrax show. And as I was in line buying my tickets, I saw that Mellencamp was playing the following week. And I'm 19 years old, but I was already a Mellencamp fan. I was still a metalhead, but I was also a Mellencamp fan. And I remember thinking, well, shit, I'm going to buy a ticket to this Mellencamp show. So I bought a ticket. And it was almost sold out. So they said, well, the only seats we have are right behind the stage. You're going to be first row behind the stage. And I almost didn't buy the ticket because I'm thinking, who wants to sit behind the stage? Well, it was a good seat. Best seat I've ever had for a show. And in fact, anytime I can sit behind the stage, I do. Last time I saw Springsteen, I was sitting first row behind the stage as well. Very cool. Hello, Jackie. Thanks for tuning in. What was I talking about here? So we go see Mellencamp. And so the day of the Mellencamp show, I go see Kiss and Anthrax, and it was fun. And it just, rocked out all night long. And then the following week, Ernie and I are hanging around in Edmonton. Ernie was doing his grade 11 or his grade 12 in Edmonton at the time. So he was living with his sister Athena. They're on 109th Street in a little north of Jasper Ave there. And I was over on 122nd Street, a little north of Jasper Ave. Talking to Ernie, and I'm like, hey, man, Mellencamp's in town tonight, man. You going to the show? He's like, no, I don't. I said, I got one ticket. He goes, you know what, I'm going to go too. So away we go. We go to the show. He gets a ticket. He's sitting at the far end of the arena, as far away from the stage as possible, and is all the way up at the very top. I'm sitting I'm sitting just the polar opposite end of the rink from him. I'm right behind Mellencamp, right behind Kenny Aronoff. In fact, I even caught a drumstick at that show, and it was a great show. I loved every second of that show, and it was a serious shift of gears, and I had a new North Star after that gig. John Cougar Mellencamp was my guy. So anyway, went to that show, enjoyed it, caught a stick. After the show, Ernie and I sort of hung around by the backstage doors. There was all these people hanging around. Everybody wants to, hey, John. We did it before. We hung out by the backstage doors when we went to see Motley Crue the year before. Motley Crue and Whitesnake, and it's just something you would do. So we were hanging around, wanted to see him leave in his limo, and we saw this little, we saw this little. There was no limousine there. There was just like a 15-passenger van, and I remember thinking, that can't be Mellencamp. They're not. They got to be traveling in a limo. They're not traveling in some 15-passenger white 15-passenger Dodge. That's not happening. And well, sure enough, 5 minutes later, the band all come piling out of the arena, just having played for 20,000 people, and they pile all on the back of this 15-passenger van, and away they go. They drive off into the night. So I remember thinking, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Here he is, Mr. Small town guy. I was born in a small town, and I live in a small town. It's easy to sing that and then take your limo back to your hotel for, room service and caviar or whatever rock stars do. And but he took off in a van, and I remember thinking, that's really, really cool. So Ernie and I walked the 2 or 3 blocks back to his car, and we jump in and hid this little Blazer that eventually died went down in a blaze of glory, caught fire coming down Calgary Trail, north on Calgary Trail one day, just outside just south of White Avenue. Like went into flames. Somehow we managed to get it back to his house with flames licking down the side of the car. Anyway. But so Ernie and I hop in his Blazer. We're driving west on 118th, and as we're rolling along, there's a 7-Eleven coming up on the south side of like maybe 90th Street or 95th Street, something like that, along 118th. And I can remember seeing the 7-Eleven, and I remember I said to Ernie, I said, "Can you imagine if Mellencamp and his band were like any bar band, and after the gig, they hit the Sev for some hoagies and Slurpees?" And didn't really think any more of it. And as we drove by, I looked in, and there was this white budget rent-a-van sitting there. I said, "Ernie, that looks like Mellencamp's van. Turn around." So he bagged a U-ball in the middle of 118th, a total Bo and Luke Duke, 2 wheels, and we went to the parking lot. And sure enough, there was Mellencamp and the guys. They were raiding the Sev, and he was there reading like People magazine or something. And we grabbed a couple pieces of paper from one of Ernie's. He had his homework still in the back of his car. The homework probably never left the back of his car. But we ripped a couple sheets of paper out of a scribbler, and he came out and said, "Mr. Mellencamp, can you sign this for us?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure, man, here." So he hands me his coffee, and I'm holding his coffee, and he's got a butt hanging out of his face. And he writes, "John Mellencamp, 1988. One for me, one for Ern." And I remember, he's like, "What do you guys think of the show? Did you guys hear everything you wanted to hear? Is everything cool?" So that was so cool. And all the guys in the band said hi to us, and they all piled back in the van, and they were all waiting for John. He was standing there talking with us for maybe a minute. But it was a game changer for me. Absolute game changer. I've been chasing that guy ever since. Musically, I've just been chasing him ever since. I'll always be a fan of Mellencamp. And anyway, so let us get on to this next little song here. The summers round here don't last forever. The summers round here's when we all get together. When it's summer round here, man, it's now or never. 'Cause summers round here don't last forever, yeah. Well, folks around here, they have their fun. They're drinking their beer in the summer sun. Well, we work when we work, when there's work to be done. But when the summertime comes, we don't walk, we run. 'Cause the summers round here don't last forever. The summers round here's when we all get together. When it's summer round here, man, it's now or never. Summers round here don't last forever. Well, the summers round here, yeah, the summers round here. I said the summers round here don't last forever. Got the burgers on the grill, smell like perfect time. Well, all around midnight, man, we'll all be shining. 'Cause one thing for sure, there ain't no denying that the summer's round here. Yeah, the summer's round here. I said the summer's round here. Don't last forever. Yeah, 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 yeah. With the sun sliding down and the moon on the rise, Aurora Borealis dancing across the sky. Well, before you know it, man, before you realize, well, everybody knows you shouldn't be surprised that the summers round here don't last forever. The summers round here is when we all get together. When it's summer round here, man, it's now or never. The summers round here don't last forever, yeah. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Summers around here don't last forever. Opened with Paper and Fire. First concert ever for me. Yes, he did. He opened with Paper and Fire. You best believe. You know, it's interesting, not to keep harping on the Mellencamp thing, but it's like I can remember the first time I heard Cherry Bomb when he said 17 has turned 35, and I'm surprised that we're still living. If we've done any wrong, I hope that we're forgiven. Got a few kids of my own, and some days I still don't know what to do. I hope that they're not laughing too loud when they hear me talking like this to you. And I can remember I was 19 when I first heard that song, thinking 17 has turned 35. That is a million years away from me. I'm not even sure I'm going to live that long. That's centuries down the road before I ever hit 35. And the fuck happened? I'm 52 now. 17 has turned 52. And it's crazy how that is just, yeah, man. Life's amazing. It really is. It's something else. I'm going to have a swig of coffee. But, yeah, man. But there are so many lyrics on that Lonesome Jubilee album. On the real life. It's like those songs were just, that was subject matter that no 19, 18, 19, 20-year-old kid should ever be listening to. But it was just approached in such a way that it was very universal. But as the years have gone on, lyrically, the whole thing makes way more sense now. You know, what's that lyric on there about there's less days in front of the horse than riding in the back of this cart. Whew, man, ain't that the truth? Anyway, on to the next song, which is a song that I wrote in January of 2008. Yeah. And so, wrote it with a guy named Pete Salas. And just kind of like, you know, running into someone who you haven't seen in years, and someone who you have some history with, serious history with, and just kind of that awkward, that first couple awkward moments, those first awkward moments of when you cross paths, and just that whole thing. And that's what we're trying to capture with this song, and it's one of my faves. So here it goes. I was standing in a line at the Circle K to get a six-pack for the football game. When I heard somebody say my name, imagine my surprise. We talked about them good old days, talked how time slipped away. We talked till the only thing left to say was what we said with our eyes. And how that summer night when we lost our innocence, we remembered to forget. How it broke down in Capitol. We spent the night in my Chevrolet. For the first time, that old car made me thank my lucky stars. We loved until the sun came up, drinking whiskey from a Timmy's cup, and we swore forever and sealed it with a kiss. It's those little things we remember to forget. She flashed a ring and said, now how about you? I said, girl, I'm married too. It'll be 5 years come this June. We got a baby due in July. That's when she pulled a picture from her purse and said, that's my Jessie, she's my first. I said, yeah, one thing for sure, she's got her mama's eyes. Well, looks like we each got our own white picket fence, so we remember to forget. How I bought a tiny golden band, asked your daddy for your hand for the first time in my life. I was scared to see you that night. I didn't know what you'd say to me when I dropped down on one knee. I don't remember what I said, but you said yes. Well, it's those little things we remember to forget. We said all that we could have said. I saw her eyes in her rearview mirror as she drove away, and all those pretty words that we once said, and all those promises we never kept, we remember to forget. Remember to forget. Remember to forget. Oh, we remember to forget. Yeah, man. Remember to forget. In a perfect world, Tim McGraw would cover that song somewhere down the road, and afford me the ability to be in beans and biscuits for the rest of my life. It always felt like a McGraw song to me. Let me see. What's in the next song on the list is Younger Than We Are Today. Probably, I don't know, might be my favorite song on the record. I love the whole record. But I sure do like this song. Wrote this with a buddy of mine, Ben Salas. Pete Salas. Sorry. Pete and I wrote Remember to Forget. And Ben and I wrote Younger Than We Are Today. Sorry, I mixed those names up there really quick. Ben and Pete. Anyway, so Ben and I wrote this song, and it was just trying to write something like a Tom Petty kind of apartment song kind of thing. Like I used to live in a 2-room apartment, neighbor knocking on my wall. Kind of write something like that, and it's a fun song. And it's an interesting song because I've sort of started working on for maybe a decade ago now. I've been doing this. That if the individual parts of the song are good, strong, that you should be able to move them around within the song, and they should all still work together. So if you go verse, pre-chorus, chorus, that's great. What happens if you go pre-chorus, verse, chorus? Will that work? See if that works. And so that's kind of a little trick that I was working on. And And so this was a song that I employed that technique. So anyway, Younger Than We Are Today. Here we go. Fires may burn, the winds may blow, the hearts still yearn to be together, but we both know that when the moon is full and the stars align, I'll be yours and yours forever, and you'll be mine. Will this flicker turn to a flame, or just a shot in the dark? Won't need a poet to explain what's in my heart. And we'll never be younger than we are today. Baby, hey, younger than we are today. Hey, hey, now, hey, baby, hey, younger than we are today. That's right. Look out. Baby, hey, younger than we are today. Will this flicker turn to a flame, or just a shout in the dark? Won't need a poet to explain what's in my heart. Years they go, and hearts they turn, but hearts still yearn to be together, and we'll never be younger than we are today. Hey, baby, hey, younger than we are today. Hey, hey, now, hey, baby, hey, younger than we are today. Younger than we are today. Sure you do. Okay, Pete and repeat. We're on a boat. That's funny. Yeah, no, Ben. Yeah. Pete Salas and I wrote Remember to Forget. And I remembered to forget, or I forgot to remember. Either or. But, yeah, always liked that song. And again, I'm looking forward to playing that song with the band. It might be a good show opener. If it's one of those nights where the place is just ready to explode, that would be a good show opener. Next song is one of Jesse's favorite songs, old Back 40, the Back 40 band. So. Wrote this song with Mary Gaucher. Mary Gaucher is just a heart-wrenching songwriter. She just writes these songs that will just rip your heart out. And yeah, so she and I got together to write this song. We had crossed paths countless times over the years. We did a show together in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, at a place called the Iron Horse. Great gig. That was with Buddy and Julie Miller as well. It was a triple bill. That was the first time I met her. Next time I met her would have been at the Edmonton Folk Festival. And yeah, just has these great songs. Drag Queens and Limousines is one of those songs that just it's just such a cool tune. But anyway, this song it's a song about life is life, man. You can't go back and change things. You can't be revisionist. You can't do that. So you got to sort of, if that was now and this was then, I'd still do it all over again. When Mary and I wrote the song, we wrote the verses really quick, wrote the first two verses, and then we kind of had, we had the melody for the chorus, but we weren't really sold on the lyric, and we kind of got bogged down. and left the song for probably 6 or 7 years. Every once in a while I'd go back and visit it, and I would sing the chorus and try to find something that was never there. And so rather than get frustrated with the song, I would just move on to the next song, And then, a month later I'd play it again and couldn't figure it out. And then when we knew we were doing this record, I would love to be on Mary's show. That'd be a great show. But when it came time to do this record, I don't like to sort of have 10 songs. I have about 80 songs that I'm working on at any given time. But I knew what song. I knew there was a couple songs that I really wanted on that record. I knew Huckleberry, I wanted to have it on the album. And so I don't write and it's kind of like a show. I don't write a set list either. I just sort of go out there and wing it. So I sort of started with Huckleberry and thought, okay, what's going to work, what'll work after Huckleberry? And I start going through my songs. It's like, yeah, Perfume and Gasoline would work really well there. Okay, so we'll work that up. And so then I would spend, the 2 or 3 months leading up to the recording of the album, spend some time sending the songs to Merrick and the guys and stuff like that, and still sanding the rough edges off the songs, getting them ready. And at some point while I was working on these songs for the record, I knew I needed a song like that. And I'm like, okay, what song do I have that's going to have that? Oh yeah, that Sweet Passing of Time. Yeah. So I went back and visited that song, and again I couldn't come up with the chorus. And I was playing it for Jenny, and I said, "Listen to this song. These verses are great, but still not happy with the chorus." And she's like, "Well, what do you want to say in the chorus?" And I literally said, "Well, I kind of just don't beat yourself up about your past, man. You just keep moving. I'm basically like if that was now and if this was then, I would still do the same thing all over again." And she's like, "Then just sing that. That's what you need. If that's what you want to say, then just sing it." And man, was she right. So here's the Sweet Passing of Time. And thanks to Jenny O for shining a light on the obvious, because I don't think I would have missed that. I would have said, well, I wanted to say if that was now, this was then, I'd do it all over again. I got to come up with something like that. And I would have kept trying to figure out a way to say that. She had the presence of mind to say, yeah, that's what you need to just sing that. What you just said there, just put a melody to that. And so I did, and it worked like a charm. So here it is. I used to be a drinking kind, but drinking never was a friend of mine. The words she whispered never did ring true. She'd leave me by the side of the road in the middle of the night in the freezing cold. Again in the morning we would start anew. And if that was now and this was then, I'd still do it all over again. So here's to the sweet passing of time. Well, I've always loved the sound of my guitar in another town. Late night coffee has its late night charm. A little something in a coffee cup, a little something just to pick you up, and a little something in a stranger's arms. But if that was now and this was then, I'd still do it all over again. Now here's to the sweet passing of time. go drifting by in the cliched blink of an eye. Where would you be if not for that one turn? If I could talk to the younger me, so many things I'd ask him to see, like how wins or losses or lessons learned. And if that was now and this was then, I'd do it all over again. So here's to the sweet passing of time. If that was now and this was then, I'd do it all over again. Now here's to the sweet passing of time. Here's to the sweet passing of time. Yeah, man. Beers, fire, Plume. Yes. I'm going to get that on a t-shirt, man. So that was a sweet passing time. Next song on the record is In God's Hands Now. This was a song that was started in October of 2006. We had just moved to Nashville. We'd only been in town for about a month and a half. I got together with my buddy Kenny Thomas. Kenny and I wrote Free for the 830 Newfoundland record. And we've written a bunch of other songs as well that have, the songs haven't seen the light of day yet, but they will. Thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate that very much. But God's Hands, yeah, so I'm just telling you, man, that's probably, that might be my favorite lyric. Just those opening two lines, from the cradle to the crossroads, from the crossroads to the grave. That's life. That's life. You're born, and then we sort of we move through life until we get to this point where we're at a crossroads, and you have a decision to make. Then you make the decision, you make it the right decision, and then you move on towards. You keep living until to the grave. So it's just one. It's my favorite line, I think. There's a lot of good lines in this song. I wrote the first verse really quick, like I said, with Kenny, and the chorus wrote itself pretty quick. Had a bitch of a time writing the second verse, writing the rest of the song. Just had such a tough time. The first verse, right, there was one line, and you've probably heard me tell the story before, but the first verse, there was one word that I kept getting hung up on. Because I wanted to leave it as open as possible. So at the back half of the verse, it goes, I have so many questions and I try the best I can. I may never know the reasons, but I'm told there's a plan. That's the verse. That's what I sing. The original lyric was, I may never know, I have so many questions and I try the best I can. I may never know the reasons, but I know that there's a plan. Too definitive for me. And, and maybe I do know there's a plan. But I wanted it to be more open-ended. I wanted people to hear themselves in that. So if they hear it as I know there's a plan, or I'm told there's a plan. So I wanted it just to be a little more vague. And so by being told there's a plan, is the guy in this song is someone with questions. No real answers yet. He's just told that it's in God's hands. I have so many questions, man. I'm just doing the best I can, and then somebody says, don't worry, it's in God's hands now. And so you're being told there's a plan. And so that, I found a lot of comfort when I switched that one word from no to told. And then in the bridge took me, started that in 2006. I wrote the bridge in 2019. So it took me 13 years to write the bridge. Had the melody, but could not figure out what the lyric needed to be for the bridge. It took me 13 years. Every month for 13 years, I would spend 10 or 15 minutes on that song, trying to find what that bridge was going to be. And every time I would sit there and I'd play it, nope, next. And I would work on it for 10 or 15 minutes and just get bogged down. And I don't believe in writer's block, so I don't believe in getting bogged down in a song either. I just move on to the next song. And for 13 years, And then one morning around 6 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, 6, 7, somewhere in there, between 6 and 7:30 in the morning, I was in the summer of 2019, sitting at the piano. I had a piano in our living room, and I was sitting at the piano with a cup of coffee, the sun streaming in, and I thought, I'm just going to play just noodle around on a song, and I went to God's hands, and I worked my way through the verses, and there was the bridge. It had been waiting for 13 years to show up. Like I said, started the song in October 2006, wrote the first verse. Took me about another 6 years to get around to writing the second verse, or to finding a second verse that I liked. Wrote a lot of verses, but none of them were up to snuff. And then another 6 years to find the bridge. Crazy, but worth the wait. Absolutely worth the wait. The second verse goes, like a rainbow across the sky or an eagle on the wing, whenever a newborn baby cries and when that child learns to sing. It's the miracle and wonder of another setting sun. And in the distance, thunder reminds me we're all one. And I really liked that. I was very proud of that because it's very inclusive. Everybody, we all heard that thunder. Doesn't matter what your belief system is. Doesn't matter which way you lean. We all heard the thunder. And so that when I nailed that down, I was quite happy with that as well. And then in the bridge, there was one lyric again, which goes, "Long is the night, yonder's a light. Keep on asking questions and pray one day you'll find. Long is the night, yonder's a light." The original lyric was, "Long is the night, yonder's the light." And again, too definitive for me. I wanted it to be a little more open-ended. And so, long as the night, yonder's a light. It could be the light. It could also be a train, so who knows? But so once I barked those parts up the tree, the song was done. But like I said, from October 2006 to July 2019, and worth the wait. From the cradle to the crossroads, from the crossroads to the grave, choices we are given and choices we have made. I have so many questions and I try the best I can. I may never know the reasons, but I'm told there's a plan, that it's in God's hands now. And He's got all the answers, but He's not saying how. It's in God's hands now. It's in God's hands now. Like a rainbow across the sky, or an eagle on the wing, whenever a newborn baby cries and when the child learns to sing, it's a miracle and a wonder of another setting sun. And in the distance, thunder reminds me we're all one. We're in God's hands now. And He's got all the answers, but He's not saying how. It's in God's hands now. It's in God's hands now. So come on, rise up. It's a brand new day. Come on, rise up. Get out of your own way. Yeah, long as the night, yonder's a light. You gotta keep on asking questions and pray one day you'll find that we're in God's hands now. It's in God's hands now. It's in God's hands now. It's in God's hands now. From the cradle to the crossroads, from the crossroads to the grave. In God's hands, man. Yeah. I quite like that song. Next song was written with Jason McCoy from the Roadhammers, and on the recording we had Jason sing and the lovely and talented Clayton goddamn Bellamy singing on the song as well. And they really kicked this song into high gear. Jason and I wrote the song probably back in 2012. We're just he and I he and I both tend to like to try to write songs that kind of feel lyrically, that kind of feel it could have been written a long time ago, hundreds of years ago. And this song in particular is one of those things. It's just the lyrics feel like they could have been something that would have been sung in a church in the deep South, in the 1800s. I can see that. It just has that, because the lyrics are like, it's a long way, yonder lies my glory, but it's a long, long way. Like that just, that's not a common phrase anymore. Yonder lies my glory. Someday, some way, we'll all sing glory, glory, but it's a long, long way. With every mile we wander, every mile we roll. Is it really any wonder how the devil is going to take his toll? Those are all just lyrics that just kind of feel old, and I like that. So anyway, here's It's a Long, Long Way. Sonically, we were trying to record or rip off John Hyatt's Memphis in the Meantime. That was the song that we were chasing, from the snare drum sound to the slide guitar. Jesus, I mean, there's the instrumentation on this song. The guys just showed up. Davey Boy Clem just knocked it out of the park with his slide, and then Jeff McLeod playing the piano. It just sounded like he was playing the piano as he was being rolled down a flight of stairs. They just sound so cool. And then of course Ryan Barwin over there on the pedal steel, he just ripped it up as well. And they made the song, because otherwise it's just like a 45-second song that we just sort of fleshed out with some killer musicians. It's a long way, long way. Yonder lies my glory, but it's a long way. Some say that someday, yeah, we'll all sing glory, glory, but it's a long way. Well, every mile we ramble, every mile that we roll, is it really any wonder how the devil gonna take his toll? Well, now it's a long way, long way. Yonder lies my glory, but it's a long, long way. That's right. Every mile we ramble, every mile that we stray, well, shotgun rides the devil, hey, if we don't find our way. Well, now it's a long way, long way. Yeah, yonder lies my glory, but it's a long, long way. Some pray, some sway, but we'll all sing glory, glory, but it's a long, long way. That's right. Well, every mile we ramble, every mile that we roll, is it really any wonder how the devil gonna take his toll? Well, but it's a long, long way. Yonder lies my glory, and it's a long, long way. Baby, baby, it's a long, long way. Oh, yeah. I said the large print give us, yeah, the small print take us away. I said the small print take us away. Yeah, the small print take us away. That's right. Yeah, man. Yonder lies my glory, but it's a long, long way. Yes, indeed. Well, can you believe it? We have come to that point in the evening and in the series where it is the last song. It is the scene where Seinfeld and Elaine and Kramer and George are all sitting in the jail cell at the end of the series. It's the last scene of Frasier. It's the last scene of Cheers. We're closed. You know, the last scene of MASH. 70 million people have tuned in today, and I couldn't be more proud. Or was it 70 people? Actually, it's probably 70 people, sorry. I think that decimal needs to be moved to the left a couple more times. Yes, thank you very much for tuning in. And this last record, man, I'll tell you what. That very last comment down there at the bottom, Merrick Music. That is Merrick David. He produced Song and Dance Man. He produced Fools for the Radio. He was involved with the 830 Newfoundland record as well. And he produced the Lonesome Stretch of Highway. And we will be working on another record later on this year. But if you like the record, it is his fault. It's not my fault. He... you believe the ending will be better than Seinfeld? Maybe. I don't know about that. But what's with that button way up there anyway? It's kind of up there in no man's land. For you Seinfeld nuts, you will get that. Murray Pigeon, nice to see you, buddy. But yeah, so this is the last one. And thank you so much for tuning in. When I started this on January 6th, I remember thinking, how in the hell am I going to get through 11 weeks of this? I'm not going to remember any of these songs. And a couple glitches here and there, a couple little slipped up lyric. Even tonight I had a couple slipped up lyrics, but that's okay. But yeah, but next Wednesday, I'm not sure if I'm going to come back next Wednesday. I know Jenny and I are doing one of these shows coming up here for the AstroTurf album. But I'm going to start doing a Wednesday evening show, much like my Sunday shows, and it's going to be called Something Wednesday This Way Comes. And it'll be the same kind of, just going to sit here and just play songs for an hour or so. And it's going to be much more loosey-goosey than these revisited shows where I got to focus on one album. So, dare I say, your best album to date. I appreciate that, Kurt. I tend to agree. I love this record as well. It's, yeah. I read this thing the other day where it says, something about how like they're all just kernels of popcorn. They all pop at different times, and I think that's kind of my story. It's taken me 11 records to kind of figure things out. I've been a very stubborn kernel of popcorn, I tell you what. But anyway, one last song here, gang. So. Way down yonder is a little piece of land where the water washes up against the sand. And I said, babe, that's what I'm talking about. When the world gets crazy now from time to time, me and my baby, we come here to unwind. And I said, babe, that's what I'm talking about. It's me and my baby, me It's me and my babe beneath the sky so blue. We got diamonds on the sand, diamonds on the ocean, the smell of salt water and suntan lotion. When that big red sun goes sinking into the sea, baby, slide on over right on nice and close to me. And I said, babe, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, but oh, you don't know. I said, babe, that's what I'm talking about. That's right. I said, it's me and my babe, baby, me and you. It's me and my babe beneath the sky so blue. We got them old diamonds on the sand, them diamonds on the ocean, the smell of salt water and suntan lotion. Way down yonder is a little piece of land where the water washes up against the sand. And I said, babe, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, I said, babe, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you so much, gang. We will see you guys more than likely next Wednesday for the first episode of Something Wednesday this way comes. But I will certainly see you Sunday morning for episode 27, I think. Yeah, 27 of Easy Like Sunday Morning. So, without further ado, thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, man, this was a lot of fun. And I look forward to seeing you guys all real soon, okay? Take care of yourselves and of each other. And I will see you when I see you. See you around.